Hello and welcome to NDTV Profit. I am Vikas Srivastava. We have with us today Mr. Pratik Agarwal, who is the MD of Sterlite Power Transmission Limited, which is also one of the largest private transmission companies in the country. The company has recently announced its demerger plan, where they are planning to demerge their global products and services business, and they also have a listing and IPO plans later on. We will talk to Mr. Agarwal about their future plans and their demerger plans in our this current interaction. Welcome to NDTV Profit, Mr. Agarwal.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
So, take our audience through this entire demerger plan that you have announced recently, how it's going to benefit the company and also the two businesses.
Thank you so much. So let me start by just giving you a context setting to begin with. So, one of the largest themes that the society is currently experiencing is the theme of decarbonization. And this is a 20 to 30-year theme that will prevail across the world. And this theme will attract capital in many parts of the entire energy value chain. So we at Sterlite, we are offering investors an opportunity to play this theme through multiple ways. One of them is our manufacturing business, which is the products and services business. One of them is a transmission BOT business. And the third one is the round-the-clock renewable business, where we serve large C&I clients and provide them round-the-clock green power. So all of these are basically riding the same wave, which is global decarbonization. Now, coming to the question on demerger, we have this company Sterlite Power Transmission Limited, which has two businesses. One of them is the GPS, the Global Products and Services business, where we have roughly 6 to 7,000 crores of turnover, which sells products and services that go into the global transmission sector. The second business is where we're a BOT operator. We are the second largest in the country and largest in the private sector, where we build, own and operate transmission assets. And we have more than 25,000 crores of track record in India at the moment. Now, both these businesses, while they are serving the same sector of transmission, but they're very, very different business models. It's like one is a cement business and one is a real estate business. So both are very, very different. Therefore, based on the feedback we got from advisors and investors, we have decided to demerge these two. One will be a standalone manufacturing and services business, and the second one will be the BOT business.
Okay, and if you can talk about in terms of value also, what kind of value unlocking you see for the two businesses now, once the demerger happens?
So, see, value is in the eyes of the investor, and both of these businesses have a unique set of investors. The investors that typically love manufacturing capital goods businesses and love the power sector are one set, and globally this is a big theme. Then there's altogether different set of investors who like long-term infrastructure play, and they like to invest in annuity-like assets, especially transmission assets. So once this company is demerged, both sets of investors will be able to pick and choose which company they want to invest in. And generally such demergers historically have always created huge shareholder value, as each business gets its due value and all the investors that are interested in that business can finally invest in that business. Our manufacturing business has many peers. They are doing extremely well in the stock market. Of course, we are unlisted at the moment. We'll look at the listing in the near future. But all investors can certainly expect overall value unlocking, both as a result of the demerger, but also as a result of the underlying tailwinds that both these sectors are currently witnessing.
Okay. If you can talk about both the businesses, what is the total order books that we have and what the kind of visibility we see in the future?
Sure. So I'll try and give you broad numbers. Let's start with the transmission BOT business. In transmission BOT business, like I said, we are one of the largest, if not the largest in the private sector, and we're the second largest in the country. We have been in this business since 2010, ever since transmission came up for private sector to participate in that opportunity. Now, recently we have announced that one of the largest sovereign wealth funds in the world, which is GIC, has agreed to partner with us in this business and will be owning a large stake in this company. And together we will look to build about $4 billion worth of assets in this joint venture, which is the transmission BOT joint venture. To give you a sense of the market size, this business, the country will award roughly $50 billion worth of transmission projects just in the next 7 to 8 years. In fact, just in the current year, India will award $12 to $14 billion of transmission opportunity. Now, from that, historically, we've had about a 20 to 25% market share. So today we are executing roughly 12 to 14,000 crores of projects, and we are expecting to win, and we very soon we think we will win many more projects in that space. So that's as far as the transmission BOT sector is concerned. Our products business, we are have an order book of somewhere between 7 to 10,000 crores currently, and we are looking to grow. We have three verticals. One of them is the overhead conductor business, second is the underground cable business, and third is the MSI business, where we do services using our products. And each of the businesses are witnessing a 12 to 20% CAGR annual growth rate. And this is driven by a very simple theme that the whole world is looking to add renewable energy capacity, be it North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Australia. Every single part of the world is adding huge renewable capacity. And each time any country adds renewable capacity, they need to build more transmission capacity. And all of that transmission capacity requires our products. We are amongst the top 5, top 8 in the world, minus China, in those products, and therefore we're a natural partner for most of the utilities around the world.
All right. So by demerging, would you also said that you will plan to look at the listing of these companies. So are you planning to list both the companies, or would you only be looking at one of these companies?
So at the moment, we haven't made up our mind about listing. Once we have demerged, we find we will, and the demerger order should come through in the next, let's say, 2 quarters maximum. Recently, we announced that we have got all the stakeholder approval, including the lender consent for the demerger. From here onwards, we hope that it's a routine process. Now, once the demerger is done, we will talk to our advisors and take advice. In general, we find that the manufacturing business is something that the Indian IPO capital markets are very used to, and they know how to value it, they know how to model it, and generally there is big appetite for capital goods businesses which are playing in the power sector. The transmission BOT business also has many listed players in India, but we find that there is an even bigger appetite from the unlisted investors like private equity and sovereign wealth investors. So at the moment, we don't foresee any urgency to be listing our transmission BOT business. Of course, you may remember that 6-7 years ago, we had done the first public InvIT, which is also a listing. And so we have an experience of doing that should we ever need to do that. But at the moment, we'll focus on fundraising for our manufacturing business.
So as far as you spoke about InvIT, so do you still have stake in those InvITs, or you have completely exited out?
So back about 6-7 years ago, when we did the IPO of IndiGrid, we had done a very large offering, and we had sold close to 80% of our stake at the IPO stage itself. Okay. And then slowly over time, we did a trickle-down sale of our balance stake to our various partners that existed in at IndiGrid from day one. We found that being a developer and having a large opportunity for doing greenfield development, we found that it didn't make sense to put our shareholders' money in operating assets rather than putting most of the money into greenfield assets. So that's why we took that step. Going forward, we plan to retain our assets and grow our portfolio of operating assets, and we will take a decision accordingly.
Okay. You spoke about your collaboration with GIC. Can you talk a little more and give some more details about that partnership?
So GIC is well known as a very large global sovereign wealth fund who have multiple strategies, including public equities, real estate, debt, and infrastructure. In infrastructure, they have been large players in India, both in the private side and in the public side, and they have significant shareholding in most of the publicly listed large companies in India in infrastructure and energy. And they also have significant investments in renewables, roads, smart meters, transmission in India. So the idea with GIC is to form a platform where we put a dedicated experienced management team who collectively have 15 plus years of transmission BOT experience. And this platform will bid for projects that are being awarded by the central and state government, will build those projects, and then will own the projects for the period of their life, which is typically 30 years. And both shareholders will contribute equally towards that platform. And as and when required, the platform itself can raise new forms of debt, equity, do InvITs, whatever makes most sense to create shareholder value. So that's the idea of the platform.
And as far as projects are concerned, which projects you would be looking at? Would you be looking at greenfield projects, setting up new projects, or from your own existing projects? Mm-hmm.
So this platform, this JV that we have with GIC, this will be doing greenfield projects.
Okay.
We've today on day one, they will have close to 9 projects at various stages of development. Some of them already operational, some are under construction. And the idea of this platform is to take completely greenfield projects from the auction process and then develop it, build it, bring it to operations, and then earn the revenues from those projects.
And not necessarily transmission projects. They can be, say, renewable projects and other.
So the GIC Sterlite JV is focused on transmission.
Okay.
We'll be focusing on transmission both in the central and the state sectors.
Okay. Now we know, and you also spoke about the kind of opportunities that would be coming up, close to 1 lakh crore, this year itself,
Right.
and also going ahead. So, what kind of opportunities you see for yourself as a transmission company going ahead?
Historically, Sterlite has had roughly a 25% market share of all projects ever been awarded in the transmission sector. Going forward, we also expect to have a 20 to 25% market share. However, I must add that Sterlite has never been in the business of chasing volumes. We are very focused on our core purpose. Our core purpose is to empower humanity by solving the toughest challenges of clean energy delivery. So our USP is to go after the complex projects. Projects that have a terrain challenge or a time challenge or a technology challenge, and we tend to do better in those projects. At the same time, we have very, very able competitors who have very large volume goals, and they tend to go after large volumes. And I think a country like India needs many, many more players. So we are very happy with our strategy in India. We think that delivery of transmission projects on time is the single biggest way anybody can contribute towards the decarbonization of a large country like India. So we are focused on that, and we look to maintain our market share of about 20%.
Yeah, you have also made a mark for yourself by going to Brazil and being a very successful bidder there. You have taken up a lot of projects. So similar success you want to create in other geographies also, if you are looking at other places. And also a little bit if you can talk about your Brazil, what's the current status there?
Sure. So like you rightly said, we entered the Brazil market somewhere in 2017.
Right.
And the reason we chose that is that we felt our skill sets of successfully developing transmission in India was a transportable skill set, something that we could help us even in foreign markets. In hindsight, we think our assumption was correct. We had won close to $2 billion of projects in Brazil. Some we have sold to local players, and about $1 billion of projects is currently in our hand. Most of it is operational and some are under construction. So net our experience in Brazil has been excellent. We have been very welcomed by the local market there. We have built and executed projects ahead of schedule, some projects almost 14 months ahead of schedule before the contractual deadline. So with that, we're very happy. Having said that, today our entire focus for transmission BOT is on the India market. Like I said, India is the largest greenfield transmission concession market in the whole world. There is no bigger market than India when it comes to greenfield transmission BOT contracts. So therefore, having home turf advantage, it makes a lot of sense for us to focus on this market. In time to come, we expect that this to be a global business opportunity with opportunities in Africa, South Asia, Far East Asia, and even Europe in days to come. And this is a 30 to 50 year build out. So there is no hurry, there is no urgency. We will keep learning, we will keep growing at the right pace, and at all times focus on creating shareholder return and delivering IRR for our investors.
A couple of more questions. One, you also have a company called Serentica Renewables. So can you talk a little bit on that? You said that you are focusing on 24-hour RTC kind of business,
Right.
to only commercial players.
Correct.
So would you be looking at a say large scale and creating volumes at that level also, utility scale, I mean?
Sure. So let me take a quick step back about what is Serentica all about. Why does Serentica need to exist? So if you think about the opportunity in the electricity sector of India, right? India is $100 billion annual electricity market. That is the value of electricity sold in India every year, $100 billion. 35% of that is consumed and sold to the C&I sector, which is large and small commercial establishments and industrial establishments, which means $35 billion is the size of that market. That market is growing faster than the rest of the market, and that market is growing at 10 to 13% year on year. So just imagine that $35 billion market can double in 7 years. Okay. So now this $35 billion market, funnily enough, is 95% dominated by state discoms and regulated monopolies, which means that it is largely unavailable for private sector to participate and offer a better service to those customers. I would like to say that the customers in this $35 billion CNI market in India are not getting the due service that they command. They should be getting volume discount, they should be getting state-of-the-art service like what you and me get from a telecom provider today, which we did not get 25 years ago when there was a single monopoly. And I think that is the revolution that is about to happen in the Indian power sector, especially for CNI market, where earlier, like in telecom and like in airline, there used to be a single provider and customer service used to be poor. And suddenly when competition came, everything changed. So that is what we are seeing in the CNI market in India.
Through open access.
Through open access, through renewable delivery. So we find that a large number of CNI customers in India are looking for three things. They're looking for green power, but they want the green power to be 24/7. They don't want that only when the sun is shining you're giving them power, because that doesn't serve their purpose. So they're looking for green power, 24/7 power, and most importantly, all of that has to be cost competitive. It has to be at rough area of 5 rupees, 4.5 to 5 rupees, delivered at their bus bar, and otherwise it does not make any sense for them. Okay, and we think that almost anywhere in the world, nobody has been able to deliver all these three things. Forget about India. So we find that Serentica, through its initial contracts, we have contracted close to 4,000 megawatts of capacity, which we are building as we speak. Close to 500 is already operational. And this we are delivering to large metal companies in India who want to reduce their coal consumption and increase their renewable electricity consumption. And in every single case, we are saving money for our customer. So we find that this is probably one of the largest opportunities in India in the whole energy space, which is going after CNI customers who are looking for a better service, green power, lower cost, and replacing some of their current requirement with renewable energy.
Okay, adding to this, what you have just said, there are a lot of groups. You take all the large groups in the country. You look at Reliance Group, you look at Adani's, you look at Tata's. They all have integrated solutions now they are providing, be it power generation, be it now solar power, solar panel manufacturing also,
right,
and also transmission and distribution. So as a Vedanta group, would you also be looking at entering into solar panel manufacturing going ahead?
You said it right. All large groups have, many of them have an integrated play, which includes the creation of assets as well as the manufacturing of components. Vedanta Group is a very large group. It has 17 unique businesses. Many of them are metal mining, oil and gas, manufacturing, power, etc., etc. We are big believers that one company and one strategy should be focused. So the focus of Serentica is to deliver high quality green power to the end customer. Now, to do that, it will buy the best technology and it will go look around the world for a combination of wind, solar, battery, pumped hydro, with the sole goal of delivering what the customer wants, which is low cost, firm, round the clock green power. In our own view, there are many other interesting opportunities in renewable, such as manufacturing of cells, batteries, even wind turbines. And we think that as a group, we will look at it maybe from different companies, but not necessarily from Serentica. So we'll let Serentica focus on what it does best, which is being a developer and selling electricity. When it comes to selling components, we will look at it from different pockets.
But within Vedanta, you might look at setting up such plants.
Certainly, I think that's an opportunity in itself. Today the US, Europe, all want to have a China plus one strategy. They want to buy from a second alternative apart from China, and India is a natural choice for all of them. So as the government rolls out various PLI schemes, some have already rolled out. As more come out, we will evaluate it. And as and when something looks interesting, we will look at it. But I will not say that that is core to our strategy today. Core to our strategy is going after that $35 billion CNI electricity market. And can we get 10% of that market in the next 2-3 years? Yeah. That's our core strategy.
One last question on overall for the power sector. What are the challenges right now? Power demand is expected to grow to 250-260 gigawatt this year. Also the kind of intense heat right now which is there around. What are the challenges that are there for the sector right now, and how best can we handle it?
So, India power sector is one of the most exciting opportunities in the world because our penetration is very, very low. Per capita consumption is so low that even going from 260, the number you mentioned, to even reaching 700, 800 can happen just in the next 10 years to 15 years. So huge growth is available. The challenges are many. First, let me talk about the positives. I think what the country has done exceedingly well is really focus on aggressive build out on renewables. And we are easily the top 3 in the world when it comes to capacity addition of renewables. We could even become number 2 in the world in terms of capacity addition in renewables. Secondly, we have created a very nice private sector ecosystem where there are not 1 or 2 or 3 but 15 or 20 companies who are actively participating and attracting huge amounts of foreign capital into the renewable sector. And thirdly, I would say the policies of the government, such as proactively building transmission, creating a real-time market, giving transmission concessions and subsidies to encourage the build-out of renewable energy, all of these have gone really well. Now, when it comes to the challenges, India is growing its consumption at about 10% at the moment, right? And the average for the last 5-10 years has been about 6%, which means that it needs gigawatts of new capacity every year. And given the agreement or the Paris Agreement and various global agreements that we have signed, we urgently need round-the-clock renewable solutions. And that round-the-clock renewable needs urgent build-out of storage. So I would say the lack of scale storage at the right cost is probably a big challenge today, not only in India, but every major developing country in the world. Okay. The second one I would say is transmission grid, while it is in a good shape, but to stay relevant and to keep having enough transmission capacity that is needed for the next 7-10 years, we have to speed up the construction of transmission lines. Because ultimately, let's understand something, that wherever you consume power, you're not going to generate power in the same place. You're going to generate power 1,000 kilometers in a different part of the country. Right. And only the transmission grid can ensure that power reaches the last person that needs that power. So I think the right-of-way challenges and the ground challenges of executing and creating grid capacity is a very, very serious problem. The government is doing their best. They're very, very proactively doing lots of things. But this will require a laser-sharp focus for the next 7-8 years for us to create that capacity in time. And I would say the biggest issue, if you ask me really in the power sector, is that ultimately power, most of the power in the country is still consumed by distribution companies who then sell it to retail owners and homeowners. And unfortunately, with a few exceptions, most distribution companies today still are in a poor financial health. So fundamental distribution reform, either by bringing competition in the sector or by having stronger fiscal measures, is the biggest need of the hour. Because if you have a healthy distribution sector, then the rest of the sector will be healthy. So I think that's the biggest one.
Thank you very much for talking to NDTV Profit. It was my pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.